Welcome back to Gallbladder Gone Now What? This is the podcast where we help Christian women heal their digestion, balance their hormones, and strengthen their faith as they rebuild their health in one simple shift at a time. I am your host, Jami McQuivey, and today we're diving into a topic that almost no woman truly understands, and yet it is the foundation of all digestion. We are talking about hydrochloric acid, stomach acid, what it actually does, why so many Christian women are struggling without enough of it, and how to test yourself at home, and then how to rebuild using wisdom and science and history and sacred texts. So let's jump in, grab your herbal tea, and let's begin. All right, so what is hydrochloric acid? We hear that word a lot. And so when I'm teaching my students this, we're going through the digestive system, and inside my course, we do a deep dive into digestion so we understand if where the problem is. So the problem could begin in the mouth, it could be in the stomach, it could be in near the gallbladder, it could be the liver. So when I'm working with somebody, we want to find out where this is. So we're going to be talking specifically about hydrochloric acid that is in the stomach. So this is a powerful acidic fluid in your stomach that releases when you see, smell, or even think about food. So we kind of get that, you know, our saliva starts coming. That also signals our stomach, okay, there's some food coming. Let's get some um, digestive juices. So this is part of God's amazing design for our body. So remember, Psalms 139 says we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And this is one of those places where we absolutely see God's engineering so clearly because the stomach is so acidic, but it has this beautiful lining, or should, to protect the actual stomach has this like mucilaginous, beautiful protection. And now when we things aren't going right, we can that can break down, and we can have ulcers. There could be a lot of pain, so we don't want that. But we want the stomach acid to be really strong. We want it to be able, what it does, why we want it so strong is because it breaks down protein. And so a lot of people will be protein deficient even though they're eating protein. And then someone will tell them, their doctors will say, well, eat more protein. Well, eat more protein. Well, if you can't break it down, it doesn't matter how much protein you eat if your stomach acid just can't break it down. The stomach acid also signals to your gallbladder to release bile. So the bile is the opposite. It takes so when your food is in the stomach and it's getting all acidic and it's breaking down that protein, then as it travels, the bile is released, and the pancreatic juices, and that neutralizes that acid because we don't want that acid going into the small intestine, right? And so then the bile is what breaks down the fat. So in the stomach, we're breaking down the protein, and we're breaking down lipids with the bile. So the stomach acid will trigger the gallbladder to release that bile. And it also, like I said, triggers the pancreas to release these enzymes. And so, what this does, as the stomach acid is good and strong, it also kills that harmful bacteria. So, if you've been listening for a while, you know that I had SIBO, H. pylori, a chronic E. coli infection. I had no stomach acid, hardly. And so my body's trying to break down these things and it's not breaking down. I couldn't absorb things like B12. I was B12 deficient. I was iron deficient, zinc deficient, magnesium deficient. All of these things happen when we don't have enough stomach acid. And so I was just being told, well, take some more B12. Well, if I couldn't absorb it and take more iron, well, I couldn't absorb it. I couldn't break it down. So we really, really need this stomach acid. So in other words, if our stomach acid is low, everything downstream struggles and symptoms start to show up fast. So like I said, when we don't have enough, it's called hypochlorhydria. And so that means low stomach acid. And so what it can look like symptom wise will be bloating after meals, gas, burping, undigested food in your stool. So if you're looking in the toilet, which you should always look in the toilet, I have a whole lesson in my program about what we're looking for, colors, textures, to understand what's actually going on in the digestive system. Feeling full really quickly, like you were really hungry and then you have just a little bit and now you're full. Heartburn. Now, this is one that people don't really understand, is that most of the time it is, if not all of the time, I have actually never met another practitioner that heartburn is from too much stomach acid. It's usually from too low. Why? How does this work? So, when we have stomach acid and it is the right pH, it closes the pyloric sphincter, or sorry, the cardiac sphincter, and it stops things from coming back up into the esophagus. If there's not enough acid, it does not signal that sphincter to close. And so that acid kind of goes up and down, up and down. So it's a little counterintuitive, but that's how it works. We can also, with hypochlorhydria or low stomach acid, get things like I said, H. pylori, hormone imbalances, all those nutrient deficiencies, post gallbladder struggles, even before, like before you get your gallbladder out, there's all these struggles as well. So, historically, in the past, this was very rare. We didn't have a lot of low stomach acid, because built into our culture and built into our food used to be lots of bitter foods. Like when we think of salads, we think of these nice tasting salads, but traditionally it was like arugula and bitter and with a little bit of lemon and some onion, and that was to get things going. And people lived with their natural rhythms, and that supported digestion. But today we have so much stress. We're moving way too fast, and a lot of the food that we have actually kills good gut bacteria and dampens our um, hydrochloric acid. So this can lead to chronically low stomach acid, which we don't want. But why do women today have such low stomach acid? And there's three reasons I want to talk about. The first reason is stress. We are way too stressed. We know that the science shows that when we have high cortisol, the stomach literally shuts its acid pumps off, right? It does not want food, it wants to survive. So the body says survival first, digestion later, but we're eating and not digesting correctly. So for most women, we're living in that chronic state of stress. And that's when we turn to the scriptures. And the scriptures talk about, be still and know that I am God. That is Psalms 46:10. This is where stillness literally restores digestion. We take a big deep breath, relax our shoulders, and that we can turn off that flight or fight and get into rest and digest. The second reason, but main reason that I've seen working with clients is nutrient deficiencies. So we're not eating the food that is really nutrient dense with really good zinc and B vitamins and veggies that have, potassium and all of these rich nutrient dense herbs that like nettles that really help create a body that can create these substances. So without them, all our acid will stay low if we don't have the nutrients to actually make the hydrochloric acid. The third one is that post gallbladder digestion. So not everybody here um, has that. So this is kind of a plus one, and then I have another third, or extra. So without a gallbladder, that bile is continuingly dripping slow and steady instead of releasing in that strong wave. And so that just naturally weakens. Now it's not the worst thing in the world that can happen, but we do need to support it. So it naturally weakens the entire digestive cascade. So again, super, super important to do these things. Now, there is a fourth reason. So by the age of about 40 or 50, so many women produce dramatically less stomach acid. So we don't have the answers. No one's giving us the answers or helping us navigate this. And so people are turning to Tums and acid blockers, protein pump inhibitors, PPIs, and years of like quick snacks and meals on the go. And now we have this perfect storm. So this is all reversible, it's all healable, it's our bodies are amazing. And this is what a program should include, which is what I'm teaching here. So if you're worried that you have low stomach acid, then I want you to do the baking soda burp test. And so this is not a perfect test. This is just an idea. So what you do is the steps. And you do this first thing in the morning before you do anything else, right? Don't brush your teeth, don't do anything else. You're going to mix 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda and 4 ounces of cold water. And you're going to drink it first thing on that empty stomach. And then you set a timer and you time how long it takes you to burp. 1 to 2 minutes is normal. 3 to 5, it's getting pretty low. Your stomach acid's pretty low. If there's no burp by 5 minutes, it's very likely that you have very low stomach acid. Um, and if you just burp out of the gate, it could be trapped air. But then we do this for 3 mornings so we can get an average, right? So we can see really where we are. Now, if you find that you have low stomach acid, let's talk about how we can rebuild the strong digestion, that strong, what we call Agni in Ayurveda. And this is where the science meets Ayurveda, and both align beautifully with how God designed our bodies. So, first thing in the morning, we wake up and we want to stoke that fire. So, some people will wake up and they'll immediately eat. I like to stoke that fire. So, with some warm lemon water with ginger, some gentle movement, some breath practices, and start to wake the body up. And I always have a large quart of warm water, really warm water. I put a teaspoon of salt in it. I recommend starting out with a 1/4 teaspoon, but I like a teaspoon in mine and a half a lemon squeezed in there. And I start off every morning with that. And that kind of just wakes up the digestive fire. The next thing to do is have what we call ginger appetizers before meals. So this is where you take 1 or 2 little slices of ginger and put just a little bit of good salt, Himalayan, Celtic sea salt, rock salt, and a few drops of lime, or you could do lemon juice as well. So the Ayurveda has done this forever to ignite stomach acid. So about 15 minutes before you're going to eat, you would snack on one of these, and it starts to build that fire. The third thing that you can do is from episode 31. So if you go back and listen to episode 31, where we start to incorporate a special tea called CCFT. And so that drinking between meals, I love it, and it helps so much. So this gently stimulates acid, bile, and enzymes. So, and then the fourth thing I have is avoid cold food and drinks. Cold extinguishes digestive fire. Warm enhances it. So think warm, think spicy, think cozy. The fifth thing is get an herbal support. And in episode 33, I go through the 4 different types of digestion so you understand what type of digestive struggle you might have. And then I have a link that will take you right to the perfect, if you need Trickatu, if you need Triphala, or let's see, the Hingvastockchurna is what it's called. So I don't want to confuse you with the names, but there's all that information to have with your meals so you can start really digesting and absorbing that. So you want to go low and slow with that. And so it's not, especially if you run kind of a hot digestion, which you'll learn in episode 33, if you kind of run that way, then there's herbs that we use to stoke the fire without igniting like crazy forest blaze. All right, the sixth thing I'm going to suggest is reduce your stress so your digestion can turn on. So remember that your stomach only produces strong acid when you're in rest and digest. That's it. That's the way God designed it, right? So this is where we can, before meals, is, having taking even 60 seconds, nice big deep breaths, relax the shoulders, smell the food, um, pray over your food, express gratitude. And so the Bible talks in Philippians 4:6 says, don't be anxious about anything. It's a commandment. It's not a suggestion. It just says, do not be anxious about anything. So how do we do that? We learn to trust God. We build our relationship. And I have another podcast on that. And let me see if I can bring up what that is. So we want to be able to trust God in all things, for all things. So that's going to be in episode 41 and 42, where you can become God-centered every day. And it's a practice, it's a muscle. So the other thing is, the other scripture I want to bring up is John 14:27, that says, I give you peace, not as the world gives. So remember, we have access to that peace all day, every day. We have to continually, in the beginning, continually step into it. And then we start to rest in it. And then hopefully it will become the place that you just dwell is in peace. Even when something outside externally happens, there's such a deep abiding trust and anchor in Christ that, you immediately turn to him. All right, the seventh thing that we can do to strengthen the whole digestive system is, you know, um, because acid triggers everything. So better acid equals better bile, equals better fat digestion, balanced hormones. Better acid is better protein breakdown, which is less bloating. Better acid is also fewer infections. So you get the idea. Because of the gut-brain axis, that our body depends on proper digestion. So there are also in the links, there's bitters that you can also put in there. And learning how to use bitters is also in my past bloating. Let's see. So you can use bitters, you can use herbs, you can use lifestyle practices, all to help build this hydrochloric acid up. So that is a lot of information, and I don't want to overwhelm you, but God designed your digestion with precision. It is perfect, it is amazing, and stomach acid is not the enemy. It is a gift. It is an amazing a brilliant way to break down our food. And it's part of the cascade that nourishes every cell in our body. So that when we eat food, the whole goal is to have it broken down and absorbed into the tiniest cells in our body. So, and healing those. So when we restore it, everything improves. Our hormones improve, our energy, our skin, our mood, our sleep, our connection to our body. So if this resonated with you, this is what my entire program is about. It is a year long of amazing information and practices and therapies that we go through and work together as a community, or you can do the VIP one-on-one. But this is something that where we can absolutely heal the body by understanding how the body works and where this happens. And I do it this way because I want you to come, I want you to learn, I want you to have community, I want you to heal, but then I want you to take it to your families. I want you to start teaching other people because this information is so needed. We need community, we need healing, we need faith, and we need more people to talk about it. So um, there's links in the show notes, so make sure to go there. And I hope to work with you soon, someday. And until next time, happy digesting.